Well, time to get up. Welcome to Thought You Were Woke, No Speed Limit Podcast. I'm your host, Alvin. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, I want to talk about a city in Alabama that's having a little controversy right now. The little sleepy town of Vincent, Alabama runs along US 231 and sits in the northeastern part of Shelby County, as well as parts of St. Clair and Talladega counties. Vincent is about 38 miles southeast of Birmingham, Alabama. A portion of the Coosa River runs within the roughly 20 square miles of the city. Now, here's something that's important to this story. It has a population of about 1,983 people. Roughly 75% of that population is white, and 19% of that population is African American. There are also a small number of Asian, Spanish, and Native American folks there as well. Now, why is this important? Well, Vincent, Alabama has become the center of controversy after a racist text was supposedly sent by one of the town's 3 police officers. Now, before I show this image, I would like to warn you, this may be triggering some folks. So, warning, this is net triggering. Now, this information was revealed by AL.com. Once this was revealed, the city of Vincent wanted to take action against these police officers because there was outrage instantly in Vincent over this. The mayor and town council wanted to fire 2 of the police officers, probably 2 of the officers involved, and that would have left the police chief, I believe, as the only officer in town. However, according to the city attorney, by the rules set up by the city's personnel policy, the officers could not be fired. Now, what was that policy? Well, the policy required that the officers have 2 formal written complaints and 1 verbal reprimand. Here's the thing. The officers had neither 2 verbal complaints or a verbal reprimand. They had not been reprimanded for their actions. Now, here's the thing. This is a pretty serious matter. Really, it's a serious matter as far as racism goes. So the city wanted to handle it. The city of Vincent reacted to it. It wasn't hidden under the rug or shoved under the rug. Well, at least it may not have been, because apparently this text was done in June and it didn't hit AL.com till maybe July or August. But as of August 18th, the city of Vincent decided to dissolve their police force because it was the only way they could fire the 2 officers. So basically, instead of firing them, they laid them off. That means that these 2 officers are probably eligible for their retirement money and all those things. These 2 officers had already put in for retirement as it was. They'll be eligible for retirement and pensions and so on and so forth. And the police chief will also, be laid off, so he will probably put in for retirement as well. Now, talking about this, I watched the town hall meeting, and I heard different voices say different things. Now, everybody, white or black, did not want to lose the police department. Sad thing is, because of how the law works for the city, they had no choice. Because the 2 officers that were fired could have appealed and said, hey, we have no written complaints, no verbal warnings, you can't let us go. So, that means this. Now, part of that comes from the fact of how Alabama wrote its state law. And what's funny about this policy in the city, apparently this policy only applies to the police because we put special protections in place to protect our police at all costs. The people who are supposed to serve and protect us and serve us, and whether we're white, black, green, yellow, whatever, whether we're gay, straight, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, atheist, it doesn't matter. The police that are supposed to protect us, they put protections in place for them, right? Now, that would be all great if our police were perfect people, but they aren't perfect people. And sometimes we hire bad apples. The city of Vincent apparently had bad apples. Now here's a question: who was that text message sent to? We don't know. Which officer sent the text message? We don't know. The pictures that were given, their information has been hidden. But apparently, the two officers were one had already resigned. The one that was just an officer, and then the lieutenant, I believe the lieutenant and the police chief both were filling out for retirement. So they only had 3 police officers. This is a small town, like I said, 1,900 people, small police department. Unlike another town that I need to talk about later, it's called Brookside, where the town about the same population, about the same size, their police force swelled to 14 people and ended up doing all kinds of bad things. So the city of Vincent, to cut this off before it even got to that level, decided, hey, we're going to resolve our police department. Now, everybody was upset. Everybody's like, all you have to do is get rid of the offending officer and let's go on, let's keep going. And they said, no, because of the way our system works, we have no other choice. We have to dissolve the police force. And of course, people are upset. They're talking about response times from the county. They say it could take, they said they're going to, this is what the mayor said. His name is Mayor Lattimore. He says that they're going to get an officer, a sheriff that will be available in the city for 40 hours a week. Now, we all know there's more than 40 hours in a week, but that's 40 hours a week. And any other calls, the officers will come from nearby locations, whoever's serving somewhere within the county. They will come and respond to calls in Vincent. And, people were immediately upset because they were worried about response times to incidents. I don't know what the crime rate is in Vincent. I would assume it's rather small. This is Shelby County. I'm sure there are incidents, or domestic incidents that people have problems with, kids acting bad, drunk drivers, people getting drunk, those kind of things. So I would assume you would need police for those situations. But as far as I'm concerned, Vincent is a small town. This is a small town. I'm sure there's a way that this will work out with the sheriff's department. Now, if they start seeing a rash of crime, then yeah, you understand why. Now, Mayor Lattimore says they're only temporarily getting rid of their police force. So within a year or so, they're going to try to, of course, bring back the police department. Now, they're going to try to implement a new personnel policy, so just in case something like this happens, they will be able to let that officer go. Now, here's what I want to talk about this. You see a text message like this, and I listened to some of the people in the city council meeting, like one lady said, she was a white lady, she said, apparently, this ain't the first time he's done that. This ain't his first rodeo. This ain't the first time he's done something like this. He's of course probably done stuff like this before. This is probably something within him where he's that kind of person that this is okay. So that comes to question into mind whether how well can he serve that 19% and the other 1.9% of the population that is, the other 5% of the population, because it's still 5% of the population that's outside of this that's not white. How well can he serve them if he's making jokes like this? He's a police officer. His job is to protect and serve all the citizens of Vincent, Alabama. Yet he's making jokes like this. That message is pretty awful. Now, I did not say this for the folks who are watching the podcast. So, if you're watching this or listening to this on the podcast, basically what was said on that text message, I'll read it out to you. What do you call a pregnant slave? Then somebody responded with a question mark, then 2 question marks, and he said, BOGO. Buy one, get one. Y'all know how awful that sounds? That's extremely, and you've got to be, I don't know. You can't say that, I heard one guy talking about, well, we don't understand the cultures of different people. People just don't understand each other because we have different cultures. That ain't got nothing to do with culture. That was racist. We know what the history of America is. We know who was enslaved. See, we get this whole thing about bands. Let me get off. I won't even get onto that. Because now here he comes with his version of educating people on his alternative history mess. Right? We'll leave that alone. But let's get back to this. This guy is serving a population that's basically, you can say it's mixed. It's 75% white and 19% African American. This part of the population he may not enjoy serving. He may not give them the same level of service that he's giving the other 75%. And there was a woman who said that. She literally said, how can you serve a community of people of color properly and you're saying things like this? I don't know. Maybe Vincent had some problem with black on black crime. I know one woman got up there and said, we know how bad black on black crime is in Birmingham. We need the police, so on and so forth. I said, y'all acting up down there? I don't know. I don't know the full story. I know Vincent has a high school. Vincent High School there and elementary school. The downtown area probably isn't all that big. So I don't know. I really don't know whether that's a problem. Crime is a huge problem. Maybe the county can handle it. I mean, but then Lattimore brought up the fact that it's going to be hard. They had to do this. They had to resolve the police department because of the issue. Think about this now. One or two people who were not involved in this may have lost their job for no reason at all if they didn't know about it. Right? They lost their job. 2 officers got fired. Were in the process of being fired. So at least one officer didn't deserve to get fired, right? Apparently. At the same time, now comes to question this, because they have to send this letter of complaint to the state, to the county, and all these people, and so every case has to be reviewed. Any case this man has worked is going to have to be reviewed. Every case is going to have to be reviewed after this terrible thing that just happened, right? But we also have to look at the fact that the state policy was there that would protect a man who has committed such a serious offense staying at work. And this ain't the only place that's happening. There's crazy stuff happening in Brookside, Alabama. I'll talk more about that on another broadcast, and may even bring up the fact about Vincent again. But Vincent has decided to handle their problem by dissolving their police force. Reforming basically sounds like their policy, which means they're reforming the police. Now, Vincent, I'm sure, being that it's in Alabama, it's a red city, right? But they've realized they have a problem. So this is a good thing. Mayor Lattimore said they had a problem. Now, there were some issues. For one thing, Mayor Lattimore invited his dad, who was a former police officer, to come and help him investigate. People booed that and said that's a bad idea. Right. So let the state investigate. They sent a formal complaint to the state. Now, here's the problem. Another problem that comes up. These 2 guys have resigned. They're being laid off, so they're going to get their pensions and their retirement. And you say, wow, this guy who just said this is going to get his pension and yeah. He's getting his pension and his retirement. And he may go work for another police force because this controversy is there. They send a complaint to the state. That doesn't mean anything. It's just like the Brookside cops. That, I talk about Brookside. A lot of them are working in other cities now, except for Mike Jones. He's been booked on a crime, so he's not going to jail. He's got to deal with that. But when you look at this, you see that, like I said, the city tried to resolve it, but the end result is this. Now you got older cases that are going to be looked at. People got pulled over for speeding tickets. People who were given tickets. People who may have been arrested. They're going to look at all of this, and a lot of things could be thrown out, literally, because of this person's text. The things that he said in that text says, hey, there's something that says something about his personality. He may not make good decisions when it comes to people of color. Well, folks, I think I'm going to leave right here at this point. But when we look at this city, we have to ask that question. Who's working for your police force? Now, the city of Vincent has decided to handle this problem. I can't complain about what the city of Vincent is doing. I feel disappointed for the people that they have to lose their police force, but this is an opportunity for them to have a better police, one that is more in tune to the population of its city. Sure, they're going to have some trouble, as the mayor said, because they can't pay a police officer where other cities or the state can pay the police officer. They're a small town. But hopefully they can still get a quality police force in Vincent, Alabama, that they have built from scratch, they know will properly serve the community. And other towns need to look at this. Big cities need to look at that. Maybe the reason crime is the way it is in Birmingham is because we don't have the right people serving the community. We have to look at this. Reform is necessary. It may not require you to dissolve the police force, but you do need to reform your police system. You know, we say some of it's training. Well, racism is, I don't think racism can be taken out with training. I really don't. I don't think we can end racism with training. It's a way you think about certain groups of people that makes it a problem for you to be a person to help in this situation. Well, folks, I'm all out of time. I hope you enjoyed today's topic. And if you did, please remember to hit that like and share button. And if you were listening to this on the podcast, please like, share, follow, subscribe. You have been listening to Thought You Were Woke, No Speed Limit Podcast.